In this video, we will go over the basics of curtain walls in Revit. If you haven't yet, subscribe to my channel. I post weekly videos to learn more tips, tricks, and tutorials about Revit for residential architects. Additionally, I have a link below this video to get a cheat sheet for terms and other good things too, to make you successful in your journey of learning Revit. Curtain walls, in my opinion, are the most versatile tool in Revit. You can do so many things with it. You can use it for a lot of modeling hacks. For example, they can be used as railing, as ceilings, as funky wall types, all sorts of things. So let's begin. So if you go to the Architecture tab and click once on the Wall tool, and go to the Properties drop-down, you'll need to scroll all the way to the bottom where you have curtain walls. I'm just going to select one of these. Some of these I have preset. I'm going to select curtain wall 1, set my parameters, they're what I want, and I'm simply going to draw it, an instance of it. Over on the left, we have a floor plan view, and on the right, we have an elevation view. So curtain walls consist of 4 elements. You have the actual wall itself, and then you have a grid, a mullion, and then a panel. So let's zoom in and look more into this. So I'm going to zoom into this curtain wall 1. Right now, it's just a glass wall. It doesn't have any mullions or grids on it. So the very first thing you need to do is apply some grids to it. So in the Architecture tab, under the Build panel, we have Curtain Grid. Click on that. So you have some options here. All segments, 1 segment, or all except picked. I'm going to leave it at all segments for now. So you just hover over the edge of the wall in the direction that you want to add your grid, or eventually your mullion to. I am just going to click a couple. And now we have these grids. So simply just split up the wall into 5 panels. So I can use my dimension tool, go to annotate, align dimension, and I can put a dimension to those grids. If I wanted, I can make them equal. I also can click on the grid and use my temporary dimensions to move them around. So if I go back to my grid command, and what we first went over is the placement, and say 1 segment or all segments. So if I try to do a grid horizontally, you can see that the dashed line shows up all the way across it. If I select 1 segment, you can see that the dashed line just selects 1 portion of the panel. So the next thing we can do is we can add mullions. So you can add a mullion to any grid. Automatically, there's a grid around the border, the top, bottom, and sides of the current wall. And again, you can look at the top on placement. You have the whole grid line, or you have grid line segment, or all of the grid lines. I'll start with grid line. So you can hover over a grid line and click once, and then a mullion shows up. So if we go to grid line segment, you can see that just 1 portion of the panel shows up. So if I hover over the edge of the wall and I press tab, I can tab through the components of the wall. So this is the actual wall that I'm selecting. This is the mullion that I'm selecting. If I hit tab, that's the curtain grid that I can move around. And one more time, this is the panel. So that's the most important thing to know, is when you're selecting the wall, what you want to select, and make sure you're selecting the right thing. Are you selecting the wall? Or are you selecting a panel, curtain, or mullion? So if you wanted to insert a door or a window into this wall, you can't use your normal door and window family. You have to use a curtain wall door or a curtain wall window. So you would select the panel, and you can switch the panel to a door if you have one loaded in your project. If you don't, you have to load it in. You can also create a custom panel for what you want this to look like. You can also switch it to a wall type. So any type of wall you have already created in your project, you can switch that out. Let's take a look at some of the other things I have drawn here. I have this wall, this curtain wall, under vertical grid over in instance parameters. I can actually change the number of vertical grids that this wall has. How I do that is under edit type, we have a vertical grid and a horizontal grid. Under vertical grid, I have set it to fixed number. That provides this instance parameter under vertical grid number in order for me to decide how many I want. And then under vertical mullions and horizontal mullions, I have actually placed an interior type, which if you look at the video is the interior mullions, and a border, which is the border mullion. So I have all these the same. And so that's what's giving me this uniform wall. So these are out of the box mullions. If I wanted to change the size, I can click Edit Type, Duplicate, then go through the steps to actually make it the size I want. So the thickness 4 inches, width on side 1, width on side 2. So the mullions are going to be center justified when you look at it in elevation on the grid. So that's why I put width on side 1 as 2 and width on side 2 as 2 as well. So that way my 4-inch mullion is going to be centered on the vertical plane of the grid. So thickness 4 inches, again, that's going to be centered on the wall unless you put an offset right here. We also have a parameter for angle. This is great if you want to create louvers or a fun wall type to give your building some sort of architectural interest. And you can set that angle to whatever you want, and then it's going to rotate the mullion whatever angle that you put. And it didn't like that, probably because of the door, so it deleted that door, probably because of the 45 degree. So I can see that that mullion is at 45 degrees right now compared to the other ones. One last tip I'm going to give you. If I have a regular wall and for time-saving purposes, I want to put in a quick window just for if I'm doing basic massing or just trying to figure out what I want my building to look like, and I don't want to put in an actual window just yet. There is a setting in your curtain wall under Edit Type that says Automatically Embed. So here's the solid wall that I drew here. I am going to draw that curtain wall. So I'm going to go to my wall command, scroll down to my curtain walls and exterior glazing. And now that I have that automatically embed command, I can, let's give this an offset of 3, set my parameters, and then it automatically gets inserted into that wall and looks just like a window. And that'll be a big time savings. There's so many more settings and so many more things you can do with curtain walls. There will be more videos in the future diving into the nitty-gritty and all the details and the really cool and fun things you can do with curtain walls. Next, we will go over floors. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.